A time ago, the land was graced with something so smelly and so awful that it was said to progress global warming by 60%. Something so vile and disrespectful that it left many petrified and befuddled at what they had just witnessed.
Look at this place. 50,000 people used to live in the city. Now it's a ghost town. Never seen anything like it.
Scientists called it the Dirty Asteroid, but to most, it's known as Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. But now, after some of the world has recovered, the scientists over at Camouflage Games came out with a counter to the dirty bomb that was dropped, and its name was Batman Arkham Shadow. Batman Arkham Shadow has an amazing story, and I won't lie to you, I was expecting it to be absolute booty after Kill the Justice League came out, but I was pleasantly surprised with how much I like this game's story. Now, I haven't actually, played the game myself because, and I just generally don't like VR games because they make my eyes hurt from what I've played of them, but it being in VR did make for some pretty funny moments while I was watching people play it on YouTube.
Barbara, what the hell are you doing?
It's like a Family Guy, Jesse. He's fighting his...
Shrike is armed, and your dad will not...
And you told me to go home?
Yes. I work alone, Barbara.
Oh!
Mr. Arkham. He fucking brushes her aside.
I'm keeping this crowbar.
Don't care.
Bye!
What's the big idea? I don't care what hole you crawled out of, Rat. Listen to me carefully.
Oh, I've seen this.
Him shaking his fist like a fucking school principal.
What are you doing here?
I'm looking for the missing prisoners.
Oh, now you care about the prisoners? Where was this concern when you up?
Give me the card. I'll handle this.
But the lack of respect gets a little trying.
You do good work.
What the fuck?
You should hit
Even just one. That would be enough.
I do think the gameplay looks pretty fun, not better than the other 4 Arkham games though. I thought the level design looked pretty meh, and the boss fights looked like decent. And I obviously can't say for sure in regards to the combat and boss fights because I haven't actually played the game through, but what I'm more here to talk about today is what I liked about the story of this game. So let's get into that. So the game starts out with Batman trying to find the Rat King, and he eventually gets information on the location of one of the top rats after interrogating him. The guy mentions that there's a courthouse about to get hit, and Batman gets extremely pissed and starts getting really brutal.
What you've done to my friends, to my city, you don't deserve mercy.
Jesus Christ.
Fucking beating the dog shit out of him.
Bro, it's literally like a Donkey Kong boss fight right now.
You can't stop us this way!
Blind, bro.
At the thought of people he cares about getting hurt like his parents. This is something I really like. Batman was really brutal in Arkham Origins, and most people know why, but he never really stops being that way in the game, and it's never really addressed or resolved. But this game starts to explore why Batman is so brutal towards criminals, and it's because of his shadow, quote unquote, which I will get into later in the video. But anyways, Batman, still in a fit of rage, is interrogating one of the top rats, and the guy won't snitch, so he goads Batman into sending him to Blackgate Prison. Batman, out of anger, says he's not putting him in Blackgate, implying that he's about to kill the guy, but eventually Batman comes to and says he doesn't kill after Shrike says to put him in the ground, if not Blackgate. The guy sets himself on fire and offs himself, and Batman acknowledges that he can't really get anywhere, and he's not really getting anywhere doing things the way he's been doing, because he doesn't understand the criminal mind very well, which I think is really neat coming from Arkham Origins, as Batman was extremely lost on what causes the Joker to do what he does, because Joker was so psychotic and it was like nothing he's ever seen, and Batman never really got the point that Joker was trying to get into his head.
All this rage, all directed at me, and for what? You know, if you'd actually let me finish a sentence, you might learn something! You might learn that we're not so different. You might learn something about yourself!
You need to learn to shut up.
You just can't get it through your thick scalp! Ugh. We both exist because of them!
Anyways, as we spend most of the story in Blackgate, we get multiple familiar and unfamiliar characters from Arkham in the story, such as Harvey Dent, Harley Quinn, Joe Chill, Bolton, Falcone, and Scarecrow. When going through the prison, we see how corrupt it is there, and it really shows and connects me to the Rat's motivation to overthrow Gotham, and how it's a nice juxtaposition to Batman's whole goal with being Batman. They both want to change Gotham, just in different ways. We see corrupt guards purposefully planting evidence in inmate cells so that they can beat the shit out of them. We see Officer Brandon from Arkham Origins purposely making Bruce go get him contraband so that he can hit a quota. We have people like Scarecrow in a high position who's experimenting on people's minds with fear toxin, and he's put into a position like that because people like Bolton either want these criminals to suffer more, and or the other higher ups in the, prison and that whole system just don't really care if they suffer or not. And it shows why exactly so many criminals never changed from what got them there in the first place, and why Batman's war against crime is a battle that seems like it will never end or get any better. But on the other side of that, we do have people like Joe Chill who killed Bruce's parents, and while he does some kind of questionable stuff that he kind of needs to do to survive in prison, he ultimately is a person who's changed and is trying to be better.
I know why you want that, and I don't care. I don't take sides in here. I'm Sweden.
Think you mean
And if this
must go, huh?
Don't I wish? I'd give anything to unload the rest of what I got up here.
He deeply regrets what he did to Batman's parents, and just like Bruce was traumatized by this, so was he. And he has self-awareness of the fact that he deserves to be in prison for what he did and doesn't blame society for it, or continue to get worse as a person in prison. Which connects amazingly to the end of Batman's character arc in the game, but we'll get there later. But to talk about Harley quickly, I actually initially kind of had like a problem with how she was portrayed, as this really good Samaritan that didn't really like Crane running tests on people out of morality, because someone I know showed me an audio log from Arkham Origins where she's essentially blackmailing Alberto Falcone to continue being tested on by Hugo Strange. And now in this game, she's essentially the complete opposite, but it actually got really interesting to me the more I thought about it, because if you listen to an audio log between her and Joker in Blackgate...
Good morning, Jay.
Well, hello, nurse. Wait, you're not Dr. Crane.
What? Oh, it's me, Dr. Quinzel.
What a lovely name. I don't believe we've met.
Oh, we're doing this again, huh? Okay. Hello, sir. I'm Dr. Harleen Quinzel, your new therapist.
Well, you know what they say. You never forget your first time.
Nice to see that a couple of months in Blackgate hasn't hurt your sense of humor.
It's not so bad. Like a mediocre restaurant on the moon. Although, the company's better. Your new boss can be a real hoot, too.
Who, Crane? Sure. If your idea of a good time is seeing how far someone can stuff their head up their own ass.
Well, my entertainment options are a little limited down here, Toots.
Anyway, you get me today instead, because he's out with a real bad tummy ache. It's a real shame no one bothered to tell him about the meatloaf.
Why, Harley, I do believe I may be starting to rub off on you.
Or maybe it's the other way around.
You can see that their relationship is growing a bit from Arkham Origins, and Harley really likes the Joker still, even not really caring about the horrible stuff that he's done. And Joker is mainly Crane's patient, so Harley only gets to see him if Crane isn't there, which makes me think that Harley's intentions with wanting to get Crane out of Arkham aren't completely genuine, if at all.
Don't get me wrong. I love my patients. I want to help them. I really do. If I could get through to even just one, that would be enough. Just one.
We even see her try to kill Crane at one point in the game. And with all the stuff this game does with your shadow, which I've talked about within stories I've covered on this channel in the past, is essentially how the game explains it to us.
Is rehabilitation through better understanding of the shadow.
Our shadow is a blind spot in our psyche.
Not exactly. Our shadow consists of our unconscious fears, shame, and desires that we project onto others.
I was getting to that part.
So I think that Harley may have some good intentions and good morality to her, but her being the Harley Quinn that we're all accustomed to is that darker side of herself. And Joker makes that shadow part of herself really come out, which I found really interesting after taking a bit of a deeper look into her character and thinking about some things. I also really liked Bolton as a character in this game, as he represents like the parallel opposite ideology of Batman, and he kind of represents Batman's shadow, the part of himself that thinks these criminals don't deserve a second chance and that they don't change and thinks they should die and, you know, you don't go far enough. But I'm assuming he wanted to, like, you know, implement those more extreme methods secretly so that he doesn't have the chance of losing his job. Hence why he tried to kill Falcone in, like, secretly, because Falcone is trying to go up in the ranks of power in Blackgate. And Falcone has a lot of Tiger Guards under his payroll. And you can tell Bolton doesn't like this at all the first time we see him talking to Falcone. And there's an interesting audio log you find in the game that tells us that he was initially denied a job at Blackgate because Warden Joseph found him psychologically unfit for the job because he was obsessed with the brutal punishment for criminals. And now with Warden Joseph gone, he got the job and he's running the prison through fear. And it seems to be working to an extent, as they are really afraid of him and keeps things kind of in line. And I love that he looks up to Batman because Batman set a bad example for people to follow in his footsteps by being so violent with criminals and, you know, being like Bolton. And he thinks that Batman killed one of the rats and he wants to understand why he didn't kill his men when he was operating in Blackgate. And when Batman says he doesn't kill to Bolton, Bolton gets pissed.
But help me understand. You threw a man to his death off the courthouse roof. But now...
I don't kill.
Punishment is the only way to keep criminals in line!
Is that why you attacked Falcone?
Yes!
To punish him?
Yes, your methodology!
You took it too far.
I didn't go far enough! These scumbags think they rule behind the walls of my prison. You could have been more than a symbol. You could have been a god. You disappoint me. I'm sorry you won't be around to watch as I end Falcone's empire for good. What's the expression? Never meet your heroes.
This scene is really good, and it literally just feels like Bruce's shadow just talking directly to him, which also happens later in the game, just in a different way. And this makes Bruce lean more towards Leslie Tompkins' words and continue to embrace her sentiment that anger and brutality isn't the only way to get things done.
Bolton's lost it.
At least you disabused him of the notion that you are allies.
His methods are extreme and misguided. Leslie's right. Beating the rats won't turn up the Rat King.
Do I detect a change of heart?
A change of strategy.
And after this, Bolton is planning to put Falcone in the illegal cage fights that they're doing. He starts to go further after Batman disappointed him and uses the corruption to his advantage, making this statement before the fight is about to start where he kills Falcone.
Blackgate is dying, sick with corruption, delusion, entitlement, worst of all, chaos. To save Blackgate, there must be a pilot. I'm taking control!
He asks before trying to execute Malone if anyone wants to defend this scum, most likely trying to weed out more people that he can kill willing to uphold what Falcone represents in the prison. And so Bruce, or Malone, jumps in and stops Bolton from killing Falcone. After Bolton's out of commission for a bit, Blackgate starts to get even worse, as Falcone is basically running the prison and doing what he wants. But he later shows up again after Bruce accidentally spilled acid on Harvey's face, and he knocks Bruce out and puts him in a gas chamber to kill him for what he did to Harvey. And Batman is saved by the rats because they think Malone is the Rat King. And while Bolton didn't have a lot of screen time in this game, I think the time he does get is used fantastically, and he was used really well in the story. And now let's move on to Batman and Harvey, which are the best parts of the story in my opinion. First things first, I absolutely love the mystery of finding out who the Rat King is and how well the story does the mystery. And I literally would have never been able to guess that Harvey was the guy behind it all. And I love how well his motivations connect to Batman's internal conflict in the game as well. As a kid, he and Bruce grew a bond through being with Leslie Tompkins, They connected over the fact that they have terrible situations as kids, with Harvey's mom leaving them, and Harvey's father being an abusive parent, as well as having dissociative identity disorder like Harvey, and Bruce's parents obviously died right in front of him, so we already know what that is. But there's a really good moment where they're looking up at the stars and Leslie asks, what makes a hero? And Bruce responds with, someone who's strong and beats up bad people. And Leslie says, punishing bad guys isn't what makes someone a hero. What makes someone a hero is saving people too. And Harvey says good people, which foreshadows both characters when they grow up in the future. While Batman obviously does save people, he's mostly still in it for vengeance and anger at this point in life as Batman. And when Harvey only mentions saving the good people, it foreshadows the fact that he wants to kill criminals and corrupt officials because he doesn't believe in second chances really. But there's still more to that motive of Harvey's. In the first scene we get with him, we see this.
Gotham is a house divided unequally. The cops, the courts, the clique control us. By my orders, gut the pigs in the pigsty. Move us closer to our day of wrath, so that in 1 week's time, the shaky pillars of Gotham fall. And from the charred bones of brutish pigs and bloated cats, we build our kingdom.
Which indicates that Harvey wants to do more than just punish criminals and kill them. It shows that he wants to take over Gotham and make a whole new system, rather than the one that's in place right now that allows for so much corruption and crime despite the best efforts from people like Batman or even the good cops in GCPD. And as you go through the memories of Bruce and Harvey as kids, you see where this motivation stems from.
I swore an oath to protect the people of Gotham. You couldn't save anyone even if you tried. You hide like a coward and watch their suffering. Take that back. Hey! You hit me!
Cut it out!
Take it back. I was only saying what they said on the show. Take that back or you'll be sorry. Stop it!
That's enough playing for one day.
He hit me.
It was an accident, Harvey. Apologize, Bruce.
Someday, the bad people will get what they deserve. I will hunt him down and make him pay.
Bruce! Sit down!
I'll help you find the person who took your parents, and you can make him pay.
All right, stop it. Listen to me, both of you. What you're talking about is revenge. That's not justice.
Harvey Dent, who at 27, the youngest lawyer in the public defender's office, is running on a promise to end crime in Gotham in 1 year's time.
Sorry.
Harvey. You didn't tell me you were running for office? DA?
Yeah, Dad.
You trying to show up your old man?
Hey, you got my vote, Harv.
Not mine. You are a Dent. We self-sabotage. See, there's something broke in our brains. It sees the good in this world and sets it on fire. And your mother knew it, that's why she left us. You get elected, DA boy. All of Gotham will know it too.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Hey, Dad.
Harvey!
With not only Harvey's sympathy for Bruce, who was his only friend, but also from Harvey's own father, who is a piece of shit himself. But due to the DID, and the theme of Carl Jung's shadow work in the story, we see that there's a good part of Harvey that does want to do things the right way. He even says to Batman that he's going to stop the Rat King, so he's not even fully aware that he is the Rat King, but there's a dark part of him that wants to fulfill that darker goal. And after talking with Mr. Comic Legend from League Entertainment, we came to the conclusion that, in conclusion, Harvey has 3 separate personalities, or 3 different sides to him. One being Harvey Dent, who wants to become a DA and punish criminals through more tame methods. 2, the Rat King represents the side of himself that wants a society that falls in line, hence the Rat Cult, and he punishes those who cause the system to go bad in the first place, as well as criminals who make society worse, through more brutal methods such as killing. This is also the side of himself that wants to fulfill that promise to Bruce to make him happy. And then finally 3, Two-Face, or some may call it Big Bad Harv, if you've watched BTAS, who represents Harvey Dent if he went the bad side of of himself without that morality to him. And like I've said, this connects amazingly to Batman's internal conflict in the game. As we go through the memories, we see Bruce doing stuff like trying to protect Harvey from his father, who's a piece of shit. We see him giving Harvey money for law school and supporting him running for DA, because that's the side of him that wants to protect people and make things better. But we also see the side of him that's angry. And as I've already talked about, that's what Batman has to grow from in this game. Learning different methods other than anger and brutality, and facing his shadow, which leads me into talking about the best part of this game as a whole, in my opinion. We see into Bruce's mind, and as we go through, we first see Batman saving his parents, killing Joe Chill, and his parents being very proud and grateful.
Batman, you saved us.
You did it, Bruce.
He then sees himself killing Harvey Dent's dad.
Jesus.
Thank you, Bruce, for protecting me.
Harvey's dad was a monster, but monsters don't deserve to live.
Then the final victim is Batman's shadow, killing the person from the beginning of the game.
For his kind.
As Bruce's shadow belittles him.
I am your anger, your rage. You know me. I am you. Fear is only the first step. You'll never go far enough. You're sick, infected. I am vengeance. I am Batman. You need me to fight crime. Why hold back? How many will die? If you do what must be done. You let evil live, so that you must die. Justice is a world without you in it. You break so easily.
But Bruce is able to face himself, face his shadow.
I'm not you. No, you intimidate. I exterminate. Then why do you hide?
And acknowledge that even if that part of him is there, he has the willpower to not act on it. Because Bruce believes in second chances and people growing for the better no matter what. And I really like this line of dialogue where Alfred mentions that Bruce protested to saving his parents if it meant killing the man, or the people like the man who killed them. And Alfred says that Batman met the person he feared Bruce would become, and Batman responds back with,
No. He met me.
Which just hammers home that the real Batman, the real Bruce, is the one who will uphold that morality we've all grown accustomed to for so long with Batman, even if, again, there's that part of himself that knows killing the criminals would be an easy way out. Another thing I like about this sequence is what it adds to previous Arkham games. To start with Arkham Knight and how the fear toxin that Crane initially started doing was something that was meant to bring out people's inner shadow. And when you take a look back at Arkham Knight, that's also something similar to what Batman was dealing with in, confirming into himself that he will not turn out like the Joker or become the Joker, even though they have similarities to them. And with Arkham Origins, it connects beautifully to this scene.
That's why you do it, isn't it? You like the way it feels. It's what you need. Come on, baby. Beat me till your knuckles bleed. Why quit there? You know there's only one way to stop me.
which I don't even think I need to explain the connection there because it's just so blatantly obvious and I really like it. And this all culminates into Batman stopping Harvey at the end of the game, trying to stop Harvey from continuing down his path, the path that part of Bruce's shadow represents, as he reveals his identity to Harvey, to show him that this isn't what he would want.
Don't shut up! Don't do this! I made a promise to a 10-year-old boy! He was a little kid whose parents were taken from him by this monster! This is what Bruce Wayne. This is not what Bruce wants. How would you know what he wants? Harvey! Because
And when learning the truth, Harvey almost kills himself, leaving his memory injured and his DID condition steadily growing worse. And something I really like about this is the fact that the Rat King persona kind of goes away, because most of that was kind of dedicated to, like, you know, fulfilling that promise to Bruce and making him happy. But after this thing kind of happens, and even though, like, they say that Harvey's memory got, you know, went away, I feel like subconsciously that Rat King persona of Harvey went away because he didn't really like Bruce showing his identity and, like, you know, stopping him from doing this thing that he thought he wanted for so long. And if you go back to a little bit earlier in the story, and you look at Joe Chill's reaction to when Malone or Bruce talks about his childhood trauma, about, like, you know, how his parents were killed in front of him, I really like Joe Chill's reaction in this scene, and he starts talking about his past and, like, you know, things that he did.
My parents were both murdered in front of me when I was a kid. I saw it. I couldn't stop it. I froze. And they never caught the guy who did it.
Oh, my dear. I'm so sorry. I feel sick in my soul for you.
That's it? The subject has no use for your feelings, Doctor. He needs a clinical diagnosis, not a bleeding heart.
Aren't you supposed to be quietly observing? Keep your comments to yourself, Craig.
I am here to supervise this clown.
My parents would fight all the time.
They'd rage at each other and at me. I called it prize fighting because I always got the belt. 7 years old. Couldn't defend myself. I did some awful things over the years to get back at them. Your shadow never leaves you. You wrestle with it all the time. But you can learn to coexist.
Not even necessarily trying to justify it, just trying to explain, you know, it feels like he's trying to explain to that exact kid, which he literally is, but he just doesn't know it, why exactly his life took the path it took. And one more thing I would like to add that I love about this ending is when Joe sees that Bruce is Batman, he just, like, pleads with guilt. Bruce just retorts back angrily, but still saves him from death ultimately. It's just such a good ending, and Joe Chill was utilized super well in the story. I honestly don't think he's ever been used in a better way, at least from all the Batman media that I've consumed. As far as criticisms I have with the story, one, how the hell did Harvey knock out Batman at this point in the boat? It's a little weird, but, you know. And the other thing is there is some lore stuff that kind of gets a little muddy, that I'm not even fully 100% on everything about the lore stuff. I'm sure if I looked more into it and thought about more stuff into it, I would have more concrete criticisms, but I really haven't, and I don't really feel like getting into it. So I'm not really gonna get into it. But yeah, with all that said, that's what I loved about Arkham Shadow. As it stands, this is probably my third favorite story in the Arkham universe behind Origins and City, and it was a damn good palate cleanser to fucking kill the Justice League. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you would become a channel member for as little as $1 a month, and you'll be able to get my videos early. I thank you all for watching, and yeah.